Have you ever had that strange moment when something inside of you whispered, "Don't go there," or "Say yes to this," even before your mind could process why? Maybe it was a sudden feeling in your chest that told you not to trust someone, or a quiet pull guiding you to take a different road home. And only later you discovered why that choice mattered. Most people dismiss these subtle nudges as coincidences, emotions, or even irrational impulses. But what if I told you that these whispers are not random at all? What if they are the language of the quantum field itself, your first access point to a reality that is already forming before your eyes? You see, we've been conditioned to believe that life is logical, sequential, cause and effect. We make plans, we analyze options, we weigh pros and cons, and then we decide. But in quantum mechanics, reality doesn't operate that way. Experiments have shown that information can be received before an event even occurs, as if consciousness is not bound by linear time. Researchers like Dean Radin and the HeartMath Institute have studied this phenomenon, calling it presentiment, the body's ability to feel the future before it arrives. Your nervous system, your heart, your gut, they all register shifts in the quantum field before your rational mind can catch up. That quiet inner signal you often ignore, it is the preview of your future. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. Before you fully lock onto the frequency, you hear static, then fragments of a song, then suddenly the sound becomes clear. Intuition is that static turned signal. It's your awareness catching glimpses of the frequency you are about to collapse into reality. The issue is that most people are trained to doubt the static. They override it with logic. They push it away with overthinking, or they silence it by demanding proof. But the quantum field never speaks in proof. It speaks in resonance. And resonance always comes as a feeling first. That's why intuition feels soft, almost ignorable. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't argue, it nudges. It doesn't overwhelm, it invites. And yet, when you look back at the most important decisions of your life, chances are your first signal was right. That first gut reaction, that first inner knowing, that flicker of awareness, it was guiding you long before your reasoning could explain it. The irony is that most people only trust it in hindsight. They say, "I knew it, I should have listened." But by then, the signal has already been proven by events. What would your life look like if you trusted the signal the first time, without waiting for external confirmation? Quantum manifestation begins not when you decide, but when you notice. Before the choice is made, before the action is taken, there is a liminal space, a microsecond, where the field shows you the path. It's like standing at the edge of two timelines and catching the flicker of the one calling your name. If you dismiss it, you slip back into the old reality. If you trust it, you step into the new. That is the hidden mechanism behind synchronicity and intuition. They are not accidents. They are signposts from the field, markers telling you that the collapse is already in motion. Here's the paradox. Intuition feels too simple to be trusted. Your mind says, "It can't be this easy. I need data, I need guarantees. I need a plan." But the universe doesn't work with guarantees. It works with alignment. Complexity is the language of the mind. Simplicity is the language of the field. And your intuition is simplicity incarnate. One signal, one nudge, one quiet inner voice. Follow it, and you're in resonance. Ignore it, and you're out of sync. This is why so many people struggle with manifestation. They think it requires rituals, hours of visualization, or endless affirmations. They forget that the first step always arrives as a whisper. The whisper is the alignment. The whisper is the doorway. When you learn to hear it, trust it, and act on it without hesitation, you collapse into realities faster than logic could ever predict. In fact, logic is always late to the party. By the time your mind understands what happened, your energy has already shifted the field. So the question is not whether the quantum field is speaking to you. It always is. The real question is, are you listening? That flicker of awareness you had this week, that gut pull you ignored, that sudden inner yes or no you brushed off, That was the field signaling you. It was the preview of a reality already waiting for you. And the more you notice it, the louder it gets, until eventually, your whole life becomes a symphony of synchronicities, guiding you without struggle, without confusion, without fear. This is where our journey begins. Stay with me because in the next step, I'm going to show you exactly how science proves that your intuition is not imagination. It is your quantum compass. For centuries, intuition was dismissed as superstition, something soft, unreliable, or even dangerous to trust. But today, science is catching up to what mystics, shamans, and spiritual teachers have always known. The body can sense the future before the mind can explain it. This isn't philosophy. It's physics, biology, and neuroscience converging to reveal the hidden layers of reality. Let's start with the work of Dean Radin, one of the most respected researchers at the Institute of Noetic Sciences. His studies on presentiment, the body's ability to react before an event occurs, are groundbreaking. Participants were shown images that could be calming or disturbing. Before the disturbing image even appeared, their nervous systems spiked. Heart rate increased, sweat glands activated, brain waves shifted. The body literally anticipated the future a few seconds in advance. Statistically, the results were impossible to ignore. Something beyond linear time was at play. Radin concluded, consciousness is not limited to the present. It reaches into the future. Now let's move to the HeartMath Institute, where researchers like Roland McCready have demonstrated that the heart, not just the brain, is a powerful intuitive organ. In one famous study, participants again anticipated future stimuli. What shocked the researchers was that the heart responded before the brain did. The heart sensed the future, then sent signals to the brain and body. This flips the old model upside down. You're not just thinking with your head, you're thinking with your entire field. Your heart is not only a biological pump, it's an electromagnetic transmitter and receiver, broadcasting signals into the quantum field. And here's where Dr. Joe Dispenza's work becomes crucial. In his book, Becoming Supernatural, Dispenza describes how aligning the brain and heart into coherence creates a measurable electromagnetic signature. When your thoughts, emotions, and body are synchronized, you're not just calm, you're literally tuning into a frequency that reorganizes matter. Dispenza's workshops have measured people entering heart-brain coherence, and the results include spontaneous healings, profound synchronicities, and shifts in perception that defy normal explanation. What he's proving is simple but revolutionary. Your state of being is the signal that collapses your future reality. Quantum physics provides the framework. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles behave differently when observed. The act of observation, consciousness itself, influences the outcome. But what's often overlooked is that the shift happens not when you logically decide to observe, but in the moment your awareness aligns with possibility. Intuition is that pre-observation alignment. It is the signal that collapses the probability wave into reality. In other words, your intuition doesn't just predict your future, it helps create it. This explains why, in spiritual traditions from across the globe, intuition has always been revered as sacred. Indigenous cultures spoke of listening to the small voice. Mystics like Neville Goddard taught that assumption creates reality, that the first inner feeling is the truth. Even Einstein, a man of science, famously said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." He knew what modern physics would eventually prove. Intuition is not fantasy. It's function. It's physics. But here's the paradox. In our culture, we've been trained to distrust intuition. We call it irrational. We call it unscientific. We demand evidence. We want proof. And yet, science itself is now proving what intuition has whispered all along. The quantum field does not wait for your rational mind to decide. It moves at the speed of resonance. Your intuition is simply the first responder, the part of you that already knows where the energy is flowing. So imagine this. Every time you ignore your intuition, you are literally stepping out of alignment with the timeline you desire. Every time you override that first feeling, you're telling the quantum field, I don't trust the signal. And the field responds in kind, giving you experiences that match doubt, not clarity. But when you honor that subtle nudge, when you say yes to the whisper before logic catches up, you're telling the field, I trust, I'm aligned. And that single act of trust collapses a new reality into being. This is why simplicity matters so much. Intuition doesn't come dressed in complexity. It doesn't arrive as a spreadsheet or a 5-step plan. It comes as a flicker, a pull, a knowing. It's subtle because it bypasses the noise of the mind. And when you learn to recognize its frequency, you start living in harmony with the deepest intelligence of the universe. Not forcing, not chasing, simply attuning. And here's the most important point. You don't have to develop intuition. You already have it. What you need is to unlearn the habit of ignoring it. The whispers have always been there. The field has always been speaking. The question is, are you quiet enough to listen? Stay with me, because next we'll dive into how your body, especially your nervous system, acts as the receiver of these quantum signals. When you understand how to regulate and attune it, you'll stop missing the whispers and start living in constant alignment. If your intuition is the signal, then your nervous system is the antenna. It is through this living biological system that you decode, translate, and embody the frequencies of the quantum field. And the most fascinating discovery of recent science is this. Your nervous system is not just reacting to reality, it is actively shaping it. Think about this for a moment. Your nervous system regulates everything: your heartbeat, your breathing, your hormones, your immune response. It is the bridge between mind and body. But more than that, it is the interface between your inner world and the outer quantum field. When your nervous system is dysregulated, stressed, chaotic, stuck in fight or flight, it sends incoherent signals into the field. And as Dr. Joe Dispenza's research has repeatedly shown, incoherence creates fragmentation in your manifested reality. You think one thing, feel another, and your body reacts as if under threat. That state of survival literally prevents you from accessing higher frequencies. Now here's where the quantum connection becomes undeniable. HeartMath Institute has discovered that your heart's electromagnetic field is 60 times stronger than your brain's. This field extends several feet around your body, and it shifts dramatically depending on whether your nervous system is in stress or in coherence. When you are calm, open, and regulated, your heart field becomes ordered and expansive. A frequency that not only stabilizes your body, but influences those around you. In other words, your nervous system doesn't just receive reality, it broadcasts it. You are a transmitter. Quantum physics gives us the metaphor of entanglement. When two particles become entangled, what happens to one instantly affects the other, no matter the distance. This is not theory. It has been proven in countless experiments. Now imagine your nervous system as one half of that entangled pair, and the quantum field as the other. The moment you shift your state, from chaos to coherence, from fear to presence, the field shifts with you. Your inner regulation is mirrored by outer synchronicities. This is why miracles often follow deep meditative states. The nervous system enters balance, the broadcast changes, and the field organizes to match. Neuroscience backs this up through the concept of neuroplasticity. The brain rewires itself based on repeated states of being. When you live in stress, your brain literally carves pathways that expect danger. That expectation becomes the lens through which you collapse reality. But when you train your nervous system to remain open and safe, through breathwork, meditation, intentional stillness, your brain rewires toward possibility. You begin to expect good things. And because expectation is resonance, good things begin to happen. This is why ancient spiritual practices always emphasize the body as the temple. Yogis spoke of pranayama, breath control, not as physical exercise, but as energetic mastery. Mystics in every tradition used stillness, chanting, or ritual to regulate their nervous systems. They understood that a chaotic body cannot house a coherent spirit. Science is now translating this wisdom into data: vagus nerve regulation, heart rate variability, gamma brainwaves. All of it points to the same truth. When your nervous system is balanced, you become a clear antenna for the quantum field. But here's the paradox. Most people are so used to living in dysregulation that they don't even notice it. They think constant stress is normal. They believe rushing, multitasking, overthinking is just life. Yet this very state is why their manifestations feel blocked. They are broadcasting static instead of signal. Imagine trying to tune into a radio station while someone is constantly changing the dial. That's what happens when your nervous system is stuck in survival mode. You never get a clear broadcast. You never lock onto the frequency of your desired reality. The good news is that your nervous system is designed to reset. Every time you take a slow, conscious breath, you're telling your body, it is safe. Every time you place your hand on your heart and shift your attention from your thoughts to your feelings, you're signaling coherence. And the moment your body feels safe, your intuition becomes louder. You stop mistaking fear for guidance and you begin to sense the subtle pulls of the field. This is not abstract. Studies show that even a few minutes of heart-focused breathing can increase coherence, strengthen intuition, and improve decision-making. Dr. Dispenza's meditations are filled with techniques to regulate the body into coherence so that the mind can project a clear signal. The nervous system is the gatekeeper. When it's scattered, manifestation feels like struggle. When it's calm, manifestation feels like flow. So the next time you notice your nervous system firing, your heart racing, your breath shallow, your thoughts spiraling, remember, this is not just stress. This is a misalignment with the field. And in that very moment, you have the power to reset the antenna. Slow down, breathe, feel. Because the quantum is listening, not to your words but to your state. Stay with me, because next we'll explore how synchronicities, those magical alignments that feel too perfect to be coincidences, are actually feedback from the field showing you how well your antenna is tuned. Have you ever noticed how, when you're in a state of flow, life begins to respond in ways that feel almost impossible to explain? You think of someone, and they suddenly call you. You imagine a solution, and the right book falls into your hands. You set an intention. And within days, the opportunity arrives in the most unexpected way. These are synchronicities, moments when the universe seems to whisper back to you, confirming that you are aligned. But here's the truth that most people don't realize. Synchronicities are not random events. They are feedback loops. They are the quantum field reflecting the clarity of your signal right back into your lived reality. Carl Jung was one of the first to popularize the concept of synchronicity, calling it meaningful coincidence. But modern quantum research gives us even deeper insight. In the same way that particles respond to observation, your reality responds to coherence. When your nervous system is balanced, when your heart and brain are aligned, your electromagnetic field becomes ordered. And what happens to ordered systems in physics? They resonate with other ordered systems. This is why, when you enter coherence, you start to click into timelines where everything feels orchestrated. It's not luck, it's resonance. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. If your dial is slightly off, the sound is full of static. You strain to hear the song, but it never comes through clearly. That's how most people live. Slightly off frequency, manifesting fragments of what they want, mixed with noise and contradiction. But when you finally tune in precisely, the song is clear, vibrant, undeniable. That is synchronicity. The field is showing you. You are tuned in. Each coincidence is not random. It is an echo, a mirror, a signal of alignment. Dr. Joe Dispenza often describes synchronicities as signs that you are becoming supernatural, not because you are doing something outside of nature, but because you are finally operating in harmony with its deepest laws. In his workshops, countless people report that once they regulate their bodies into coherence and focus on the vision of their future self, synchronicities explode in their lives. They see repeating numbers. They encounter people who shift their entire trajectory. They find themselves in the right place at the right time, over and over again. This is the quantum field organizing itself to match the order you've created within. But there's a deeper layer that many overlook. Synchronicities are not just signs that you're on the right path. They are also invitations to trust more deeply. Because here's what happens. When the first synchronicities appear, most people feel amazed, and then their rational mind jumps in. Maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe I'm making this up. That doubt pulls them out of resonance. The field reflects not just your clarity but also your hesitation. This is why synchronicities sometimes seem to vanish after a while. It's not that the universe stopped responding. It's that your nervous system shifted back into incoherence. So how do you keep the synchronicities flowing? The key is to treat them not as random luck, but as direct communication. Imagine you're learning a new language, and suddenly someone starts speaking it back to you. That's the field. Each synchronicity is a word, a phrase, a sentence in the dialogue between you and the quantum. The more you pay attention, the more fluent you become. Ignore it, and the conversation fades. Honor it, and the conversation deepens. There's a powerful exercise you can try. For 1 week, keep a synchronicity journal. Every time something happens that feels like more than coincidence, write it down. It could be a chance encounter, a repeating number, a dream that manifests in waking life. At the end of the week, look back at the patterns. You'll notice that the synchronicities are not random at all. They cluster around moments when you felt most aligned, most open, most in trust. This reflection alone trains your nervous system to expect coherence. And as we've already seen, expectation is resonance. Quantum physics supports this idea through the concept of feedback systems. In nonlinear dynamics, small changes can create large effects, the butterfly effect. Your internal coherence is a small change that ripples into the field, creating external alignments that appear far beyond your control. But when you track those ripples, you realize they are not random. They are patterns, spirals, fractals of meaning. Synchronicity is how the universe shows you the geometry of your alignment. And here's the most important part. Synchronicities are never about the event itself. Seeing 11:11 on a clock is not magical by itself. Meeting someone unexpectedly is not the miracle. The real miracle is the reflection it gives you. Proof that your vibration is interacting with the fabric of reality in real time. The moment you recognize this, you stop chasing synchronicities as signs and start using them as feedback. Each alignment becomes an invitation to anchor deeper into trust, deeper into coherence, deeper into the version of yourself that already exists in the field. So the next time synchronicities flood your life, don't just smile and move on. Pause. Breathe. Recognize. This is feedback. I am tuned in. Because the more you acknowledge the signal, the stronger it becomes. And when the signal becomes strong enough, your entire life organizes itself around that resonance. Take a deep breath and write down in the comments, I am the signal. And I want you to anchor this today. Stay with me because in the next step we'll explore what happens when synchronicities stop. Most people panic thinking they've lost the magic. But in truth, that pause is one of the most powerful moments in the entire process. A hidden doorway into the next quantum leap. If synchronicities are the language of the universe, then what does it mean when that language suddenly goes silent? Many people experience this moment. Everything was flowing, the signs were everywhere, and then silence. No repeating numbers, no chance encounters, no cosmic winks. At first, panic sets in. Did I lose my connection? Am I doing something wrong? Did the universe abandon me? But what looks like silence is not absence. It's the pause between breaths, the moment in music where the rest makes the melody possible. When synchronicities stop, it is not a punishment, it is an initiation. To understand this, let's look at how systems work in quantum mechanics. A particle can exist in superposition, multiple states at once, until observation collapses it into a defined reality. Synchronicities are like the flickering of those multiple possibilities, showing you glimpses of what's aligning. But once you've stabilized into a new frequency, the flicker fades. The system doesn't need to send constant signals anymore. You've already collapsed into the reality. The silence means the field has heard you, aligned with you, and now it's waiting for you to trust. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They confuse silence with disconnection, Instead of trusting, they begin doubting. Instead of holding their vibration steady, they slip back into old patterns of fear, anxiety, and control. That very shift pulls them out of coherence and creates the illusion that the magic is gone. But the truth is, the magic was never gone. The silence was the test. Could you hold the frequency without constant reassurance? Could you trust the process when the feedback loop isn't loud? This is where mastery begins. Dr. Joe Dispenza often says, "The moment you trust in the unknown, you step into the quantum." This is precisely what the silence is about. The universe wants to know. Are you creating because of external validation, or because you've become the vibration itself? If your sense of power depends on signs, then you are still giving your authority away. But when you can embody trust in the absence of signs, that's when you become unshakable. That's when manifestation shifts from fragile hope into undeniable reality. Think of it like learning to ride a bicycle. At first, you need training wheels. Those training wheels are the synchronicities. They show you, yes, you're moving in the right direction. But eventually, the training wheels have to come off. The wobble feels scary at first, but it's the only way to discover that you can balance on your own. The silence is the field removing the training wheels, asking you to embody the balance without needing proof. And here's the paradox. The moment you relax into that silence, synchronicities return, but now at a higher level. They no longer appear as simple reassurance. They emerge as orchestrated events that shift your reality dramatically. Instead of small signs, you begin to experience large alignments, meeting someone who changes your path, receiving opportunities that once seemed impossible, stepping into timelines that feel like destiny. The silence was not emptiness. It was gestation. A seed doesn't sprout the day you plant it. It spends time in darkness, unseen, until suddenly it emerges with undeniable life. There's also a psychological component to this. Neuroscience shows that the brain is wired to seek patterns. When you begin noticing synchronicities, your brain becomes hyper-alert, scanning reality for confirmation. This amplifies the sense of magic. But when your brain adapts and those signs become normalized, you may no longer notice them as vividly. They haven't disappeared. You've simply integrated them. The real work now is to expand beyond needing constant external novelty and instead cultivate inner stability. So the next time synchronicities seem to stop, reframe the experience. Instead of thinking, "The magic is gone," affirm, "The field is silent because the shift is stabilizing." Let the silence be your proof. It's the universe inviting you to graduate from dependence to mastery. If you can hold your vibration steady without signs, you unlock a deeper level of power. Because now your state is no longer conditional, it's sovereign. And from sovereignty, manifestation becomes natural, inevitable, effortless. Take this moment as a sacred doorway, not the end of synchronicity, but the evolution of it. In silence, you are being stretched. In silence, you are being asked to remember that the power was never in the signs themselves. The power is in you. When you step through this doorway, you discover the highest secret of quantum manifestation. It was never about chasing signs. It was always about becoming the signal. Stay with me, because in the final part, we'll anchor this understanding into a practice you can use. A way to embody your signal so fully that you don't just notice synchronicities. You become the synchronicity others encounter. That's when your life stops being random and starts being a living, breathing miracle. So here we are. You've walked with me through the mystery of synchronicities, how they begin, why they intensify, and why they sometimes stop. But let's tie this all together into the truth that changes everything. Synchronicity was never the goal, it was the mirror. The real goal is coherence. The real power is when you no longer chase signs but embody such a strong vibrational state that you become the signal itself. This is where manifestation stops being an event and becomes your natural state of being. Think about what happens when you become coherent, when your thoughts, emotions, and body move in harmony. In quantum physics, coherence creates resonance. A coherent system vibrates in such stability that it influences everything around it. In neuroscience, this is what Dr. Joe Dispenza describes when he talks about heart-brain coherence. The nervous system moves out of survival and into creation. And in spirituality, mystics like Neville Goddard describe this state as living from the end, embodying the reality before it arrives. They were all pointing to the same thing. You don't wait for signs. You become the sign. Imagine walking into a room with this state. Without saying a word, people feel something shift. They can't explain it, but they feel drawn to you, open to you, influenced by your energy. That's because you are broadcasting coherence into the field. This is not imagination. Studies from the HeartMath Institute have shown that a coherent heart generates measurable electromagnetic fields that can be detected several feet outside the body, influencing others. You are literally shaping reality not through effort but through being. Now here's the key. Synchronicities will return, but now not as proof. They'll come as alignment. The silence gave you the chance to stabilize, and once you did, the universe begins to move with you in ways that are undeniable. But because you no longer need them, you experience them differently. They feel natural. They feel obvious. They feel like the only possible outcome. That's the level where miracles become your baseline. This is your invitation. Stop waiting for confirmation. Stop needing constant signs. Instead, cultivate the state where your being itself is the confirmation. Every breath, every step, every choice becomes a synchronicity in motion. You don't ask if the universe heard you. You know it did because you are broadcasting the frequency of alignment every moment. This is the real graduation. This is where you step from seeker to creator. And I want you to anchor this today. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and repeat internally. I am not waiting for signs. I am the signal. Say it not just with your mind, but with your heart. Feel the coherence, feel the steadiness. That vibration is enough to shift everything. Now, if this resonated with you, if you feel that pull inside, that deeper remembrance of your true power, then I've created something to take you even further. It's a guidebook called Awaken Your Quantum Power Inside. You'll discover the 7 principles to activate your vibrational field with clarity and precision, so that you don't just read about these truths, you live them. This isn't about effort, it's about alignment. And this is your next step to stabilize everything we've explored here today. You'll find the link to access it in the pinned comment below. Remember this. The universe doesn't reward effort, it responds to frequency. Synchronicities may guide you, silence may stretch you, but in the end, the power is not outside of you, it's within you. You don't have to chase reality anymore. You are reality. You are the frequency. You are the signal. And when you embody that truth, life stops being a search for signs and becomes a constant unfolding of miracles. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay coherent, stay luminous, and remember, you were never waiting for synchronicity. Synchronicity was waiting for you.